1 indictment, 2 indictment, 3 indictment, 4, 5 indictment, 6 indictment, 7 indictment, more. Here we go. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's good to be here on KCMO Talk Radio. That's me applying my kids' song abilities to Donald Trump getting indicted for a fourth time.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there, John?
I was thinking in the initial statement from Fannie, the town crier, what did she say? 41 indictments.
Yes, 41
97
felonies.
Pages. We're doing the big number dump, remember? That's always popular.
Yes.
I'm surprised she'd say nearly 3/4 of an inch in stack, But remember, they're all presumed innocent, she says after the big number dump.
After the big number dump. So if you missed it, last night, Donald Trump got indicted for a fourth time.
Talk about a bombshell.
You just can't believe it, can you? This time in Georgia. And as John noted, 19 people in total charged in the indictment, 41 counts, 97 pages. And taken together, the Georgia charges allege a sweeping criminal conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election results. They describe calls, emails, and other efforts to allegedly press state and federal officials in the effort to find votes Trump lacked to win, or assert that he was victorious both in Georgia and in other states that he lost. The indictment was brought by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. And here's part of what Miss Willis had to say.
The indictment alleges that rather than abide by Georgia's legal process for election challenges, the defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result. Subsequent to the indictment, as is the normal process in Georgia law, the grand jury issued arrest warrants for those who are charged. I am giving the defendants the opportunity to voluntarily surrender no later than noon on Friday, the 25th day of August, 2023.
All right, so they got to be turning themselves in by Friday, August 25th. So they get to celebrate my birthday on August 24th, and then they got to turn themselves in. That's the deal there, Trumpster.
Good
All
deal.
Right. Rudy, Trump, the whole gang can celebrate my birthday on the 24th, and then they've got to turn themselves in. They might be a little hungover, that's okay, but they've got to turn themselves in by noon on Friday, the 25th. So that's very nice of Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis, giving them a little bit of time to celebrate me. Very nice of them. That being said, on a serious note, Trump charged with 13 felonies, alleging he pushed false claims of voter fraud in Georgia and pressured Republican officials to help him secure the state's electoral college votes. With Trump, as always is the case, it's more nuanced than anybody wants to make it out to be. Trump can claim whatever he wants. As an American citizen, he's allowed to say whatever he wants, even if he doesn't have the facts to back it up. Just like former gubernatorial candidate in Georgia, of all places, Stacey Abrams, continues to push and has pushed for years that she won the 2018 Georgia governor's race against Brian Kemp. Of course she did not. We all know that's not true. But she claims she won it. She said as much for the better part of 5 years. She's allowed to say that and be wrong, just like Trump is allowed to say that and be wrong. But once again, the right letter is next to Stacey Abrams' name. The wrong letter is next to Donald Trump's name. Now, the other part of this, Donald Trump pressuring Republican officials to help him secure the state's electoral college votes. Now, there's that infamous call between Donald Trump and Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, where he told them to find the votes to overturn or change the election results in Georgia. Was that the smartest thing Trump's ever done? No, it's not. In fact, it was pretty dumb in hindsight to be on a phone saying things like that, knowing there's a lot of people listening, right? Donald Trump doesn't get on phone calls like he did as a businessman, and it's just him and the other guy. For Trump to be on a phone call with the Secretary of State from Georgia in the wake of the 2020 election and say what he said, even if you're like of the opinion, as I am, that you take Trump literally but not, or you take him seriously but not literally. You know, you don't take Trump word for word, but you take him seriously as a person, just not literally. Even if you're of that belief, of which I generally am, that was like pretty stupid. That was a pretty bad idea in hindsight because you knew they were going to use that against him. And you had to realize in the moment, the amount of people listening, what that moment was all about, eventually, somehow it was going to come back to bite him. And that's where I believe you can make the argument that Trump played in to the swamp. Trump has done things that, yes, he's been attacked because of who he is. He's been unfairly targeted because of who he is. But he's also stepped on the rake a couple of times, and it's banged him right in the face. That doesn't mean that he deserves to be indicted for a fourth time. I mean, outside of the classified documents case, which appears to be the one that has the most legs to it, the rest of them are clearly political hit jobs, but he also hasn't done himself any favors. All these things can and are true. But now the question I have for you is this. Is there anything, if you are of the opinion that Donald Trump, and I believe right now he's going to be the nominee. I mean, if I was betting today, it's going to be Trump and it's going to be Biden. That's how this thing is shaping up. That's just my opinion. It's not what I think is in the best interest of the country, but that's how it's shaping up. And what's interesting is that Biden may be the only candidate Trump can beat, and Trump may be the only candidate Biden can beat. That's what's fascinating about this. But since we're here in this place where Donald Trump is sprinting towards the nomination, is there anything, whether it's an indictment or otherwise, that would move you off him? There's not a right answer here. I'm not looking for an answer. I'm not telling John to find this person to say this on the air. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just leaving it open-ended for you. As Trump goes through this fourth indictment, and by the way, the trial, according to the district attorney down in Fulton County, Georgia, she's saying she wants a trial sometime in the next 6 months. That would take us right up to Super Tuesday, the day when all the primaries or a lot of the primaries happen in early March of next year. So you could have Trump going to trial in this Georgia case, and it could be butting up right against Super Tuesday. We will have never lived through anything like this if this does play out the way we think it's going to today, which is Donald Trump, a major candidate for president who was the former president as well, being targeted by his opponent, his likely opponent's Department of Justice, and his likely opponent's own party in various states, including New York and Georgia. We've never seen anything like this. There's absolutely a banana republic element to it. But is there anything at this point where you said to yourself at 7:13 here on a Tuesday morning, the day after this latest indictment, where you're like, you know what, I would move off of Trump if this would get me off of him. A fifth indictment would be too much. I don't think that's going to be your answer. But I am curious because at least it gives us an anecdotal example here in the Kansas City area on what many of you are thinking. And by the way, what most of the media is not going to be able to understand and comprehend. Because I do believe in part what these indictments do is it hardens the Trump base. 913-408-7710. 913-408-7710. It's 7:14. We'll get to you coming up on KCMO. Bottom of the hour, Dave Traubert, Kansas Policy Institute, is going to be here to talk about the raid at the Marion County Record, southwest of Kansas City, down near Wichita. That's all coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. And then Eric Erickson, top of the 8 o'clock hour, WSB Radio in Atlanta on this. All part of a busy next couple hours on KCMO. Got to get Big Bad Bill back on. I'm going to invite him on tomorrow or Thursday, see if we can get Bill O'Reilly back on the show after Trump goes through a fourth indictment last night, this one in Georgia. So that's 4 since April, 2 in the last 2 weeks. And my question for you was simple, and I want to get to a bunch of your calls here in the next few minutes. Is there anything at this point that would move some of you off Trump, or does another indictment just harden you? There's not a right answer. John and Mark screen the calls. I didn't tell them what direction to take it, so we're just going to burn through them here on KCMO. 913-408-7710. Let's start with Willard in Independence. Willard, good morning. You're on KCMO.
Good morning.
All right. What's up, Willard?
I was just going to say that Me personally, I feel that there will be a lot more indictments against Trump, and so far nothing is swaying me unless something was blatantly proven that he was habitually lying. That the more they indict him, the stronger I am standing behind him and will vote for him. And as a gay man, I'm proud to vote for him, and I think he's good for the country.
And just to confirm, Willer, you do not have concerns that these things could take his eye off the ball and hurt him in a general election?
No, I don't think he's losing focus. I really don't believe he's that concerned about the indictments, except that it's frustrating. Mm-hmm. But I believe it'll just make him stronger, and I believe he is truly focused on the country and our betterment.
All right. Willard, thank you very much there, sir. Way to kick it off. 913-408-7710. Stu in Rosedale. Stu, go ahead. Good morning.
Hey, Mungo. I think that if Trump is the nominee, then the tactics are going to have to get even more desperate. And I think we can look forward to anyone who announces his or her intention to vote for Trump or who supports him vociferously is going to have to be indicted also and rounded up as part of a conspiracy to destroy our democracy.
Well, they're going to have to build a lot more jail cells for the tens of millions of people if he ends up being the nominee that are going to vote for him, Stu. That's I chuckle at it, of course, but, wouldn't put anything past some of these folks, at least in terms of ideas that they've had. 913-408-7710 as Donald Trump deals with a fourth indictment. 913-408-7710. That's also the text line here on KCMO. Steve in Olathe, go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Pete, short of Donald Trump declaring himself an agent of the Chinese government, I don't think anything is gonna back us off our guy. We have to start thinking three-dimensionally chess here with who is going to be the successor once the deep state gets him off the ballot. We need to get Vivek. I really believe Vivek is going to change the world here.
Now you're talking about Vivek.
Wallace,
you're talking about Vivek
William Wallace
Ramaswamy.
Didn't free Scotland. It was the Earl of Bruce, and so Vivek is going to be that man who carries forth our agenda. So if you're going to support DeSantis, think about voting for Vivek, because we need a true America First conservative instead of to get the legacy of Donald Trump forward instead of a rhino. That's how we need to be thinking in this environment, I believe.
All right. Thank you very much there, Steve. 913-408-7710. The text line, Pete, I was leaning towards DeSantis, but now I'm voting for Trump. So that's interesting. You have people, and I know that this is true, the polling is showing this, who were DeSantis who are now back to Trump. And I completely am sympathetic to the emotional side of saying this guy is getting railroaded by a political DOJ. I'm sympathetic to that line of thinking because it's happening. You can say that Trump made mistakes, but also going after him with indictments 4 months is clearly political. Both of those things can absolutely be true, and I believe they are true. But then you have to ask yourself, and once again, you just have to ask yourself this. You do with this information what you want. What is then the general election strategy? Because here's my fear. It's not that Trump can't win. I think that Trump, if he goes up against Biden, like I said, Biden may be the only guy he can beat, and Trump may be the only guy Biden can beat. Says a lot about where we're at. He can absolutely beat Joe Biden. But then what's the general election strategy? That's the question. And how does that play? Because we know that people don't like the economy, but if we're relitigating 20, what does that do? Nick in Kansas City. Got a minute, Nick? It's all yours.
Oh, hey, man. What's up?
What's up, Nick?
I just wanted to say that it's just everybody that I talked to lately, I'm 37. Most of my friends are about the same age. Before Biden and everything happened, like when I was in my 20s, nobody cared about racist stuff or anything really that the left side is pushing right now. And it seems like a lot of my friends and a lot of the people I talk to are just so sick of having everything shoved down their throats. Like, my wife was a diehard Democrat for years, and now she's like completely flipped. It's weird. It's so nutty right now. Like, nobody can take it anymore. Everybody just wants it to go back to normal and stop messing with our kids and just stop.
Mm-hmm. Nick, you put it very well, my man. Have a great day. You're right. People are sick of it. And, we do want it to go back to just calmer times. Can that be accomplished right now? That remains to be seen.